Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to Holy Moses Take a Look, the podcast about terrible books. I'm Sheena St. James, joined as always by my beautiful assistant, Paul.
Hi.
And we're going to be reading chapters 7 and 8 of Irene Iddesleigh by Amanda McKittrick Ross. When last we left our... Can we call them heroes? I mean, they're kind of... Everyone is terrible.
We gotta refer to them how every character in the 90s was referred to. We gotta refer to them as protagonists.
As what?
Protagonists. I was just saying.
Oh, okay.
I just realized I don't have a pop filter in front of my microphone.
Oh dear.
Yeah. That's bad.
Oof. Oh my god.
All right, wait. I think I have a solution. There we go.
Holy shit. MacGyvering it all up in here.
Well, not really. I'm just like crudely moving the pop filter from my other condenser microphone in front of this one.
I'm just not directly facing my microphone. I'm speaking kind of off in a distance, so I don't really need a pop filter this time.
Well, forgive me if I sound a bit raggedy. I'm still dealing with a cough. I was ill last week. I was, and I'm still... My throat's still feeling kind of scratchy and hatchy and batchy and all those other words.
Yucky. Yeah. I'd recommend more throat coat tea, but you're not really into the ungodly amounts of lemon and honey thing.
I can deal with lemon. It's you have so much honey and I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, that's how you have to do it, though. That's the primary ingredient. That's the coat part. It's the coat for your throat. It's a beautiful mink mantle.
Okay, well...
You know. Or you could make congee, like what I did. I made the best congee this morning. It was so good.
I think I might go to the store tomorrow and grab some lemon, maybe make some tea. Because we got a shitload of honey.
Good.
As my mum likes honey. You know, she likes it on a toast.
It's because she's sweet.
She is very sweet. She's very lovely.
Okay. But anyway, we're here to read terrible books, not compliment people's moms.
What happened last time?
Last time, we found out that everyone is terrible. So Irene is secretly in love with this tutor that she met with.
That's tutor, not Tudor.
Because when we had episode 2, back when we had our good friend Mike Egan over, we were all three of us, under the impression that this was just some stupid imagined slight on the part of John Dunfern, but it turns out that was not the case, and it was just poor writing, as always, with this book, and indeed this author, really. So it turns out that not only are these two, that the tutor and Irene, in love with each other, but Irene has a bizarre hatred for Sir Dunfern. Why? I don't know. I mean, we hate him because we have to read about him. She has to do no such thing, so I don't know why she dislikes him so.
Also,
but they just got married.
We got actual dialogue this time, but not
well,
not like.
Not good dialogue.
Not good. Well, I never professed it was good, but not fake dialogue, one line in one chapter, a conversation between two people.
Conversation.
It's
of sorts.
Yeah, it's just two people soliloquying at each other,
essentially,
for no good reason.
Yeah. So, so they've just gotten married.
For better or worse.
Yeah, and Irene is miserable. So, here we are. Chapter 7. And as always, by the way, this is a blind read. So I have not read anything except for the first 6 chapters so far. So all of my reactions are going to be genuine.
I was going to improvise. Well, no. I was going to read ahead before and sort of get some hot gags beforehand, but I've opted not to do that. I say opted, I
never got around to it.
Squandered my day in filth and ignorance.
Chapter 7. Distant shores have great attractions and large expectations. They harbor around their beaches the exile and patriot, the king and peasant, the lawyer and artisan, the rising swindler and ruined prince. What?
She's doing it again.
She's doing it again.
She's doing, like, this lofty bullshit metaphor thing.
Yeah. I mean, I get what she's saying, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but the way it's phrased, it makes me think of this Oglaf comic from a while ago, where this guy's just like, oh god, what was this? She was shit, hang on, let me look it up. So it reminds me of this Oglaf comic. It starts like, she was a garrulous socialite. He was a reticent clerk. They fell to the ground and started fucking. He was the prince of fairies. She was allergic to glitter. They fell to the ground and started fucking. He had a gift for numbers. He had a recipe for pasta. They fell on the ground and started fucking. Barrel maker, chess maker, fucking. Poet, pedant, fucking. There's no real moral to this story. Or even a story, to be honest. There is a lot of fucking, though. Perhaps that's enough. And that's what this reminds me of, you know. The king and the peasant. The lawyer and artisan. The rising swindler and ruined prince.
It's like, this tells us nothing.
I know. And it's like, I get what she's trying to say. Like, it appeals to everyone. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that idea. It's just the wording brings that to mind, and it makes me giggle a little bit. So, spotted throughout the unclaimed area of bared soil may be seen the roughly constructed huts and lofty homes of honest industry. Yes, and concealed therein are hearts yearning for the land of nativity and national freedom, hearts which sorrow after bygone days and sink low when brooding over the future tide of fortune which already has stopped its gentle flow.
Is it just me, or is this less bullshit than I'm used to?
The first couple sentences were, and then it fell into
she's gone a bit boopy again.
Yeah.
But she's
started pretty okay.
She's confined it to just the first paragraph, though, which is nice.
Yeah. The first couple sentences weren't actually that bad. That was pretty okay. The reception on the evening of Irene's marriage was glorious and brilliant, as were all those given by Lord and Lady Dilworth, and, although attended by society's cream alone, there appeared a visible and unhidden vacancy in the absence of her who so often lent a glow of gaiety to the high-toned throng. There's that word again. She keeps saying throng.
Cream.
Yeah. In the high-toned throng. Or is it throng?
Well, who can say with writing like this?
Yeah. There seemed to be no rival now of buried lineage to mar their desire or incur the jealousy of would-be opponents, no one to share sympathetically with the afflicted sister of equality and worth, nor was there anyone present of such knightly and commanding dignity as he who, not many hours previous, had taken upon him the sad duty of delivering up the keys of devotion to her who kept the door of ardent adoration locked against his approach. And there it is. Freaking, let's avoid talking about everything by just talking around it.
I got nothing.
Horrible.
It's only taken 3 paragraphs to, like, nosedive into terrible again.
Yeah, not even. The second one was pretty bad, too. It wasn't as bad, but this is really bad. This is just... Ugh.
I'm still waiting for something to happen. Do you reckon anything will happen before the end of the chapter?
I would hope so. I can only hope. Alright. It would probably be a long time ere such a scene of silly jealousy and ire would take place as that witnessed, in which the greater majority of those present were then partakers, and further it would surely be a much longer period before these guests would again share alike in the generosity so often extended them by Lord and Lady Dilworth. Silly jealousy and ire? Is it really silly if she's, like, actually having an affair? I mean, I'd be upset. Maybe she's talking about someone else and is just, like, trying to have, like, foreshadowing. I don't know. It's bad.
It's again, it's hard to tell. Like, I can't tell if this is a continuation of the previous chapter or not. Or
Yeah, that's just it. That's the difficult part. It's like when you have at the beginning of a paragraph stuff like this, where it's like it references something that's not immediately happening. You have to be clear about whether this is something that's going to happen or something that's already happened. And unfortunately, that's not an easy thing to do if you place it here. And although it's not impossible to do it correctly and to do it with some grace, it's not what's being done here. This is so baffling, and that's unfortunate, because I feel like, insipid and shallow plot aside, this is a book that could, with a good editor, have been rescued and just been a regular bad romance novel.
As it is, like...
As it is, we're reading it on this podcast.
Yeah. Language keeps obfuscating what should be a very clear timeline. Mm-hmm. Anyway, keep going.
Okay.
Let's get this fucker over with.
Next day after Irene's marriage not the next day. Next day after Irene's marriage was a busy one at Dilworth Castle. Hasty and numerous were the preparations for desolation and departure. Desolation? Whoa! What? What, are they getting ready for the end of the world? Jesus.
Probably.
Weeks preceding the joyful event, or what should have been, were leisurely devoted to the artistic arrangements in which every room within the lordly manor. But alas, so sudden now was joy's termination, that hours alone were the boundary in command. What the fuck is happening? Why is everyone miserable all of a sudden? Is it because she's not very open with him? I mean, like, why would her parents know about that? This is so bad. It's so confusing. Okay. It may be stated that Lord Dilworth owned 3 very extensive estates. He's rich, everyone, did you forget? Namely, Dilworth, Airtown, and Howden. The first mentioned extended around the castle of that name, encompassing a spacious tract of soil, indeed, and might have done justice to moderation in its most expensive form. The Airtown estate, which entirely covers the southern portion of Cheshire, owns a magnificent hall, the residence of the Earl of Tewkesham, and although not considered so lucrative as Dilworth, may be estimated a handsome dowry for the son of any rising nobleman in the realm. The Howden estate, on which are elegantly formed 2 buildings of note, namely Blandford Castle and Lauderdale Lodge, both exquisite constructions of architecture and skilled workmanship, and occupied respectively by Sir Sidney Hector and Admiral Charles Depew, lies chiefly around the southwest of Yorkshire, and is not quite so desirable or adapted for agriculture as the 2 first mentioned, being mostly rented for grazing purposes by the numerous and varied owners of its rugged plots. Wow, that was a long sentence.
You know,
that was such a long sentence.
I was listening to a podcast called Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible, which, for those who are not familiar with it, there is an ex-Jew who has translated the Bible himself and has to put a humorous spin on things, with the intention of taking the mick. But they talk about moments in the Old Testament where it's just a list of... It's basically... just the family tree.
Yeah,
but they put it into a chart form to just kind of...
bless them.
Kill time, which is... It's funny how they do it. But this is just what it reminds me of. This is it's all these unnecessary details which presumably will not have much relevance. All this serves to tell us is, again, like, he's like
rich, everyone.
What?
Like, he's rich, everyone.
Yeah, which we've already established. Like, it could be that it's setting up future settings, but this is a fucking romance novel. Like, at what point are we gonna... Is all of this gonna mean anything? You know?
It's like, she could have even just mentioned that he had 3 estates.
Yeah.
And mentioned where they were, and then that could be it.
Yeah, that and then we could have moved on. But, like, stuff like this only serves to slow the story down, you know, more than it already is by the bad writing and obfuscating of meaning in the language.
Yeah. Also, you can tell that Ms. Ross is very obviously from the south of England, because it's like, of course, the one estate that's in Yorkshire is like not that great.
Oh, of course.
Of course, that's the one that's not that great. And I'm just like, there's some great architecture in Yorkshire. What the fuck, lady?
Anyway, rugged plots.
Yeah. These estates became so heavily mortgaged that prompt sale was indispensable, and the matter being quietly arranged 6 months beforehand, the 6th day of August was the day set apart for the disposal of same. So he's selling his excess property. Why did we even have to hear about them? He's selling it off. Oh my god.
Shrugs.
Who cares? That whole, like, God, I don't even know how many lines that sentence is. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
It's so long. This paragraph long sentence was pointless. Ugh. Bidders were numerous and offers low. Eventually, the purchasers were as follows. Oh, who cares? The Marquis of Orland bought Dilworth Estate. Lord Henry Hedden purchased Ayrtown Estate, whilst the lot of Howden fell upon Sir Rowland Joyce, the famous historian and national bard. Wait a minute.
More people we have no idea. But,
more people we're never going to hear about again. But more importantly, wasn't the first chapter talking about Dunfern Estate? Oh, Dilworth Estate. Lord Dilworth. Oh my god. Okay. I was so confused that whole time. Because they're broke. Remember?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. I thought they were talking about Dunfern because their names are so similar. God. Okay.
What is it?
Alright, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
It's still crappy. I still don't need to hear about how fine these castles and stuff are. It doesn't matter. But
I was playing Pillars of Eternity earlier, which is kind of a fantasy novel, and like, it's still easier to care about the shit that goes on in that game.
Yeah.
Even with all of the language being totally unfamiliar and all these proper nouns that make no sense, it's still easier to follow and easier to be invested. Like, this is, by comparison, a lot more grounded, and I cannot care.
It's horrible. Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
Okay. So Lord and Lady Dilworth are broke. That's right. Which is just kind of danced around and then made to be very dramatic. So they're selling off their place, finally. Okay. Thus were wrested from Lord and Lady Dilworth their luxurious living. They were driven from their nursery of rich and complicated comforts, their castle of indolence and ease. They were now thrown upon the shivering waters of want, without a word of sympathy in their dreadful hour of their greatest affliction, without home or friend to extend shelter or sustenance, and cast afloat upon the ocean of oscillating chance to speed across it as best they could. Didn't their daughter just marry the richest dude ever?
Yeah.
What in heck is happening here? Why are they sold their houses. They're 3 gigantic houses. Like, even if it was relatively low pricing, that's still enough to be a normal rich person.
You'd hope.
I mean,
that, like, in my mind, this is enough. This is if even by 19th century standards, like, selling off 3 estates would be worth enough to have a modest place to stay. They wouldn't
extensive estates.
Like, unless, like, Ms. Roz has a very weird idea about what
is.
Yeah, about what's considered poverty.
Yeah.
It's like cast afloat upon the ocean of oscillating chance. They just sold their house for money. Houses for money.
Yeah.
They have a safety net in their daughter's husband, or at least that would be the perception in their eyes. Should be.
Oh my god. It's so stupid. Also, I mean, Dilworth Castle was described as being this beautiful place with, like, what was it, velvety walls and shit. So, I mean, why were the offers so low? These are gorgeous estates. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all. And, like, I don't claim to be a scholar of the economics of 19th century England, but something about this is not logical.
It's a bit bullshit.
Okay. Was Lord Dilworth therefore to be pitied? Were the torrents of gold which were bound to trickle from these enormous lands and dwellings, manufactories and villages too trifling for his use? Not a morsel of pity was offered either him or Lady Dilworth as their circumstances became known in the homes of their associates, who so often fed on the fat of their folly and graced their well-lined tables, always covered with dainties of deserving censure. Well, shit, I wouldn't pity him either.
Why can't she just say real words? Why can't... It's like... It's like... She starts off so well. It's like, not a morsel of pity was offered, as the circumstances became known, in the homes of their associates, who so often fed on the fat of their folly. Well, actually, okay, that's fine. And then it's like, and graced their well-lined tables, always covered with the dainties of deserving. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
Deserving censure. Dainties of deserving censure. That doesn't... It
doesn't make sense.
I'm so upset.
Like, did censure have a different meaning at the time? No, it still meant the same thing. Dainties of deserving censure. I just don't... Does that mean they didn't like them? I assume it must.
Anyway, keep going.
But it's like, shit, I don't pity them either. You know, they had so much stuff that they sold off. Could human mind... There's that lack of the word "the" again. Could human mind contemplate that she who reigned supreme amongst society, she who gave the ball in honor of Irene Iddesleigh's marriage, should ere 4 days be a penniless pauper? Yet such was fact, not fiction. Oh my god. Penniless pauper, really? Really?
Penniless pauper who just sold their 3 estates.
Sold 3 freaking estates. I don't care how far in debt they are. You know, unless they literally bought a small country, there's no way someone could sell off that much property and not have something left over. Plus, again, their son-in-law is richer than God. Which means their daughter is richer than God, which means they can live with them and just be the in-laws that live across the castle. I mean, it's not... Oh my god. Like, is this meant to evoke sympathy? Because it really isn't, as of yet. This feels just very,
Well, we've got no reactions to it. We've got no one... We don't know how to feel about it. Like, we don't know how the people in the story are reacting to it. Again, we're just told this shit and expected to take it as read.
And we're told that their peers don't care. So why should we?
Yeah.
We don't know them.
It's like the story isn't the Dilworths. It's not titled the Dilworths. The story is Irene Iddesleigh.
Yeah. Whom we know very little about. We don't even know what she looks like.
So it's kind of...
Alright. The 7th day of August... This is the day after they sold all their giant-ass estates, by the way. The 7th day of August saw Lord and Lady Dilworth, titled beggars, steering their course along the blue and slippery waves of the Atlantic to be the participators in the loathing poverty which always exists in homes sought after destruction, degradation, and reckless extravagance. Ugh! Amanda McKittrick Ross must have been super rich because she has no idea what poverty is.
Loathing poverty.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but nobody that fucking rich is gonna be in such a situation of want. Especially after liquidating all their assets like that.
And also, suddenly they're on the slippery waves of the Atlantic?
I guess?
Like, I don't know what that means. I can't tell if that's a metaphor or not.
Yeah, I mean...
Are
they traveling now?
We have no money, but somehow we have enough money to secure a boat on the Atlantic.
Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they're they're huddling onto a ship, you know, like immigrants to America, going to Ellis Island or something. I doubt it.
Anyway.
So soon may the house of gladness and mirth be turned into deepest grief. How the wealthiest, through sheer folly, are made to drink the very essence of poverty and affliction in its purest form. How the golden dust of luxury can be blown about with the winds of events, and is afterwards found buried in the fields of industry and thrift. Their names, which were as household word, would now be heard no more, and would sink into abject silence and drowned renown, leaving them to battle against the raging war of ruin and hunger, and retire into secluded remorse.
And yet Ms. Roz can't stop fucking talking about them. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ.
God, this is so annoying. Like, she keeps talking about how poor they are all of the sudden. And I don't care. I don't care, and I don't even, like, believe it. That's just such a... it doesn't even make sense.
All this emotive and evocative language, or, like, attempts at it, it's pointless. Mm-hmm. It's just... I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, it can't... it's... Because it's not just, like, you know, impenetrable language at this point. It's like the whole plot has just stopped making sense.
Yeah.
You know, and character motivations and, you know, story reasons for things just... It's
like she took a bunch of plot points and plot twists and threw them all in a tombola, and then just had people pick them out at random.
It's not really a twist. No,
I suppose it's not a twist, but I mean, like, it's a plot point that comes out of nowhere. It was only introduced in the last chapter, and now is being presented in a way that is much more severe than initially implied.
Much like the whole, oh no, I'm having an affair with my tutor, oh.
Yeah, that whole thing. Like, at first we just thought they were talking. But no, it turns out they're, like, literally in love with each other. And it's just... It's mentioned after the fact.
Turns out Ms. Roz can't write convincing bad romance. Who would have thought?
It's like, even... I don't know. This is just such trash.
Let's keep going.
Okay. On the return of Sir John and Lady Dunfern from their honeymoon, after 4 weeks' sojourn, what was her ladyship's consternation on perceiving Dilworth Castle in darkness as she and Sir John swept past its avenue on their way to their own brilliantly lighted mansion. She was rather more taciturn on the night of her return than even during her stay in Florence, and it was only on her approaching her former place of temporary retreat and touchy remembrances that words began to fall from her ruby lips in torrents.
Dialogue!
Oh my god! Tell me, I implore of you, Sir John and husband, why the once blithe and cheerful spot of peace is now apparently a dismal dungeon on the night of our homecoming, when all should have been a mass of dazzling glow and splendor. Can it be that she who proffered such ecstasy for months before on the eve of our return is now no more? Or can it be possible that we have crossed each other on the wide waters of tossing triumph or wanton woe? Speak at once, for pity's sake, and do not hide from me the answer of truth and honest knowledge. And do not hide from me the answer of truth and honest knowledge? Oh, merciful heavens! That's a question. That middle bit, that's a question.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. It's an imperative sentence.
No one talks like that.
Here Lady Dunfern drooped her head before Sir John got time to even answer a word, and drawing from his pocket a silver flask, proceeded to open its contents, when the horses suddenly stopped, and a gentle hand politely opened the carriage door to eagerly await the exit of his master and future mistress from its cushioned corners of costly comfort and ease. Hey, is that enough alliteration for you? Tom, cried Sir John in great and rending agony, kindly wait for a few minutes, as her ladyship has been frightfully overcome only a short time ago by the blank appearance in and around Dilworth Castle. She fears something dreadful must surely have happened, Lady Dilworth, in her absence. There should be a 2 in there. Since she has failed to make the occasion of our homecoming a merry torchlight of rejoicing.
No one talks like that.
No. Also, they don't know! How do they not know? Why didn't the Dilworths tell Irene, hey, by the way, honey, we're totally broke, Like,
I
you'd
guess,
think... Oh my god.
I guess they forgot to send him an email, I guess.
Well, it's like these people were out traveling around Europe, and their in-laws had no idea, were going broke, and they had no idea. How does that even happen? They didn't send him a letter? They didn't say on the eve of the wedding, oh, by the way, Irene, we're gonna need your help later on because we're running out of money. So the house has been sold, and they don't know. Like, they didn't even send him a letter.
Yeah, it's like, it's prime douchebag material.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're just gone from the story at this point,
Yeah,
it seems.
they're just gone. Like, are they dead? I hope so.
Well, let's find out.
Tom, who had been in Sir John's service for the past 20 years, was about to testify to the truth of his remarks when he was joined by other members of the household, who rushed to welcome their beloved master home once more, accompanied by his beautiful bride, of whom they had all heard so much. Sir John saw that delay was dangerous, and helping to remove his darling Irene from the seat on which she unconsciously reclined, she fainted! What?
Really? Hang on.
She
Did
drooped her head and she fainted.
Is this... Oh, this after she was like, oh, the house is empty.
Yeah,
Oh.
and she fainted because the house is empty. They could all be asleep, for all they know. It's not
Christ.
like you kept correspondence. Succeeded in placing her on a low couch in the very room he so often silently prayed for her presence, bathing her highly heated temples with a sprinkling of cooling liquid concealed in his flask.
Just say water. Just say water.
Yeah. Sir John lost no time in summoning the village doctor, who, on arrival, pronounced the Lady Dunfern to have slightly recovered, and giving the necessary orders, left the room.
God, like, that was... Sorry, I'm just going to remark on that paragraph. It's like, it's almost normal.
Almost. It's pretty bad. It was fully 2 hours ere she partly recovered from her ghastly swoon, to find herself the object of numerous onlookers of the household, of which she was now future mistress.
So,
This is so bad.
I hope those onlookers are part of her recovery. Otherwise, that's just, people perving on her while she sleeps.
Well, I think it's all the servants in the house. They're just staring at her.
Perverts.
Well, they want to see the miraculous hand ass.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hell, I'd be staring too. I'd be amazed. I'd be like, holy shit, that's a woman?
I'd roll up for that circus show.
Yeah. Be like, view the magical snowy hand. It's got a butt. And eyes. Pale and deathlike did she appear in the eyes of her husband, who was utterly overcome with grief at the sudden collapse of his wife under such a stroke of anticipated sorrow, and more grieved was he still when he found on inquiry that the removal of Lord and Lady Dilworth from their heightened haunt of high-born socialism must sooner or later be revealed to her, who as yet had only tasted partly of the bitter cup of divided intercourse and separated companionship. I don't think Amanda McKittrick-Ross knows what socialism or intercourse mean.
Yeah, either that or they had really weird archaic meanings.
I don't think so.
It's just, old literature is such a trip. Like, women don't... It's just...
They don't faint because the house is darkened.
It's so weird that we ever thought that was ever, like, a part of our culture. Yeah. I'm not... Like, people behave strangely when they're emotional, but that's not limited to women. And it's just so cartoonish. So she just spouts a dialogue of uninterrupted words and then just goes and droops, doesn't faint.
Yeah, I think it's because she didn't breathe.
Like, that's
why she fainted.
Like, that's how we know that she fainted, is she drooped. That's our first indication.
Mm-hmm. That's bad. And I love how it's like anticipated sorrow, and then he's just like, oh, I gotta tell her. But it's, which is it? Did he know? And he didn't tell her? Or what? Who knew what? This things we don't know anything.
Ms. Ross knew, and she didn't tell us.
Uh-huh.
She's a liar by omission. Anyway.
And it just... I still can't get over the whole highborn socialism. I'm just like, that's an oxymoron, but okay. I don't think she knew what socialism was.
I don't think she knew what anything is.
Or intercourse.
Well, it's just as well this isn't an erotic fiction.
Yeah, I'm not going to read porn on this podcast.
No.
There's too much bad porn, and it's gross.
Let's keep
And
going.
I mean, it makes sense that he's upset. That's a normal person reaction. But I don't know. It's I guess he didn't, because it says found on inquiry that the removal must be revealed to her. So he didn't know that they moved away, I guess. Or that's what it's implying. So why is the sorrow anticipated?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, keep going.
Okay. Many were the questions asked by Lady Dunfern relative to Lady Dilworth when Dr. Corbett arrived next morning to pronounce her almost recovered, and strange yet true that no one could possibly have humoured her in such a manner to warrant recovery as the village doctor, until she felt really strong enough to battle against the sorrowful tale of woe with which Sir John would shortly make her cognizant. Many are my questions. What the heck is going on? Jesus. Okay. On learning from his lips, so soon as her ability occasioned, the real state of affairs concerning the emigrants who were now compelled to wander on the track of trouble, she received the truth with awe and smothered distress. The new sphere in which Lady Dunfern was about to move seemed to her strange. The blinding duty which tied her firmly to honour and obedience was kept prominently in vague view. The staff of menials would probably find the rules of her husband more in accordance with their wishes than those which she was beginning to already arrange. She commenced her married life with falsehood, and she was fully determined to prove this feature more and more as the weeks and months rolled along. She was not more afraid of the censure of one whose face she may never more behold, and who was the sole instigation of plunging her instigation, thank you, of plunging her into a union which she inwardly abhorred. Perhaps, had she never been trained under the loving guidance of Oscar Otwell, her revered tutor, she would only have been too eager to proclaim her ecstasy at her present position more vigorously, but all fetters of power were visibly broken, which she wished should remain united, leaving her mother of her future premeditated movements. Woof, yikes. That was bad. So, wait a minute. Let's try and take that apart a little bit.
I'll let you take the wheel.
So, I guess now we've got a time lapse. She settled in, and the staff were more used to John's ways than with hers, which makes sense. She's new. And I guess she gets more and more different from him as times go by, which again makes sense. They're different people. And I don't understand the whole thing about, had she never been trained under Oscar Otwell, she would have been too eager to proclaim her ecstasy at her present position more vigorously. So, does that mean she would be happier?
I suppose.
If she hadn't met him? Because that kind of goes without saying.
I suppose. I don't like these moments. I don't like how Ms. Ross has tried to condense a significant stretch of time into a single paragraph.
Right.
You know,
like she'll go on and on about a single moment.
And she'll do it in these long sentences that fail to communicate clearly what actually happens.
Right.
So it makes it harder and harder to really piece together, the timeline,
As time moved on, Sir John and Lady Dunfern seemed to differ daily in their many respects, which occasioned dislike in the breasts of both, and caused the once handsome, cheerful face of the much-respected owner of Dunfern to assume a look of seriousness. Okay, so they're not getting along very well, because they're just not compatible when they live together. So what? She didn't even love him to begin with. So of course they're not going to get along because she's not trying. And they, and sometimes people just don't get along very well when they live together, like they have different preferences for their schedules, for the cleanliness of their house, for whatever.
They live in a big house, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want the marriage to succeed, like, with as they are. They could just occupy different ends of the house, and then they never have to see each other.
I know. Well, it's like he, I think, likes her. He still loves her, even though he's resentful now, or something. But it's even so. So if she only married Dunfern because Lady Dilworth told her to, why in fuck's name did Lord and Lady Dilworth not say, "And we're coming with you"?
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. This is so stupid. They're all stupid. These differences arose chiefly through the great disinclination to attend the numerous social gatherings which awaited them after their marriage. Sir John, finding it almost impossible to stare socialism in the face, seemed inclined rather to stick to the old rule of domestic enjoyment, never forgetting to share fully his cheerful conversation with his wife when so desired, which, sorrowful to relate, was too seldom. Again, today, and Amanda McKittrick-Ross didn't know what socialism was. Could have just said society in the face.
Yeah.
Or social events in the face. He's shy, we get it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions about Ms. Ross, but it's just, I don't think she's had much experience with romance.
Well, she was married, so...
Oh yeah, we covered this.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I find the way she writes about the two just very unconvincing.
Yeah. Now that Lady Dunfern was an acknowledged branch of society, her elegant presence would have been courted by all those who so often favoured Lady Dilworth with their distinguished patronage. But her social hopes being nipped in the bud by her retiring husband, she dare not resent, and determined, in consequence, to make herself an object of dislike in her home, and cherish her imprisoned thoughts until released, for good or evil. The fuck?
Why do the chapters always end, like, really abruptly? There's no narrative grace to them.
I don't know.
So now Irene is...
She's being unpleasant on purpose.
Now she's deliberately trying to sabotage the marriage.
Yeah.
After all that faff beforehand.
Yeah. And because her husband is an introvert.
Yeah. And she's being... Oh, of course we find out that she's now deliberately going to try and sabotage the marriage in the last paragraph with no example. Like, we're not presented with an interesting take on it. It's just like, oh, and now she's going to be a bad girl. Oh.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't really describe how she does this, or even really why. She doesn't go, well, them's the breaks, I'm going to deal with it. She doesn't go, well, this sucks, I'm going to break up with him. She doesn't, I mean, there's so many active decisions that could be made that are not being made. She's just being unpleasant just because.
Mm. Anyway.
And he's only ever been good to her, and that's, well, relatively speaking. John Dunfern's still a tool, but, he's not a major asshole or anything.
Anyway, we've been at this for like 45 minutes. Should we keep going?
No, I'm not going to read Chapter 8 this week, I think. It's too long. Because I glanced at it. I haven't read any of it, but I just looked at the sheer mass of it all. And Chapters 7 and 8 are both very long. So I don't think I'm going to read that this time around. So it's... So our time with Irene Iddesleigh is going to be a little more extended than anticipated. But I'm still trying to translate some of this stuff near the end. So, she dare not resent. What? Like, I don't... This... cherish her imprisoned thoughts until released. Released from what? Is she trying to get him to divorce her?
Yeah, I think so. Released from marriage.
Why doesn't she just divorce him?
I don't know. I guess she feels she can't, but again, we don't have much of an idea of Irene's character, so...
Yeah, I guess. Except that she avoids conflict like the plague. I mean, that's the only character trait of hers that we have. Yeah. Is that she is a pathological avoider of conflict.
Which makes her very #relatable to me.
Maybe, but, like, you have personality.
Thank you. That's very sweet. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me today.
Oh. Well, that's a damn shame.
It's a lie. We had a lovely conversation in the start of the day.
Yeah, but I'm amazed at how, like, weepy and purple this whole chapter is.
It's impossible to get sad, though. It's the whole chapter is just, the Dilworths are dead.
They're not dead. They're broke.
They're as good as, apparently. They're
just gone.
Yeah. What's the line? Where is the line?
She said they emigrated, and I'm just like, to where?
Yeah.
If there's information to be had about that, why don't they just move into Dunfern Castle? It's a fucking castle. It's not like you can't fit 2 more people. Give them their own room.
Yeah.
You need 1 bedroom.
So that happened. Like, it's a nothing chapter. Like, we have an elaborate...
I mean, there's actual plot.
We have, like, an elaborate elucidation of that, you know, the selling off and the departure of the Dilworths, and then the Hoosits get back from the honeymoon. Irene goes, oh, I am a-fainted now. And she does. And then the marriage starts to dissolve. I'm only piecing that together upon recollection, because the moment-to-moment reading of this thing is a fucking nightmare. And I thought The Great Gatsby was hard to read, but this like takes the fucking cake.
Well, The Great Gatsby is hard to read, but admittedly, that's because it's packed with, you know, ideas and concepts and characterization. And I mean, that's not my thing, but I acknowledge that it's a good book with real thoughts. It's the
construction of the language as well in The Great Gatsby as well. It's the way the sentences are pieced together. They are...
It's a little dense.
It's early 20th century literature, you know, and it has the hallmarks of literature at the time, which, you know, for a modern reader... For someone like me, who is just some gross asshole who never studied English literature particularly seriously, it's hard. You know, at least for a casual reader. But yeah, like it's only in sort of slowly slogging through this entire chapter that we, you know.
We've even been able to decipher it.
Yeah, and was it worth it?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's it's pretty laughably terrible. I mean, it's not as hilariously, you know, finest pebble-ish, you know. It's not as ridiculous and description-filled as it was in the beginning, but it is definitely just as bad. And it's enjoyable in that respect. Because this is so god-awful, I can't even
wonder what Chapter 8's opening floaty paragraph is going to be like.
We'll have to wait till next week to find out.
Oh, because... no!
There's no real moral to this story. Or even a story, but there is lots of fucking, and maybe that's enough.
I wish there were fucking in this story.
I know, it would give us something thing to think about, or
like
crocodiles.
I want to know. I don't know. I want to know how many like euphemisms and metaphors that Ms. Ross can think of for penises and vaginas. I want to see this disgusting purple prose, this dreary obfuscation of meaning applied to the arena of erotica,
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would... I'd have more fun tearing that apart, honestly, but I don't think McKittrick Amanda Ross wrote erotica. Not to my knowledge.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. And after this is over, I'm never going to read any more of her work. She wrote so many books. She wrote like 5 books, I think. Let me see.
I think you said too many books wrong.
Well, it is too many books, but let's see.
Too many books in her bibliography. Too many books in her bibliography. Too many books.
3 novels and 2 books of poetry.
That's too many. Poetry. Holy Moses.
Take a look. Flesh decayed in every nook. What?
I'm practicing.
For what?
Well, if ever I need to be sampled for a hip-hop song. A beat, they lay down a beat like boo chicka chaka chicka boo chicka chaka, and then there's me just with like heavy reverb going and then they start rapping over it. They do a verse, and then at the end of the verse, ooh, it's practice.
Fair enough. Dress for the job you want.
Yeah. Not for the job that you will conceivably get. Yeah,
no, not the job you've got, the job you want. That's... Okay, so I think that's enough for this week. This is a short one, relatively speaking. I mean, it's about 10 minutes shorter. So this has been Holy Moses Take a Look. And we'll be back next week for Chapter 8, and only Chapter 8, and then hopefully they'll shorten up again, and we'll be able to do 2 at a time once more after next week. So, have a good week, have a good weekend, all that great stuff. Read some better books.
Comment, like, subscribe, share, spread the word if you do enjoy this. If you listen to any part of this, even if you didn't like it, like, just tell us what's up. Give us something to think about.
Feedback is good. Because all we've been getting so far is spam accounts on Soundcloud, and that's just no good at all. So
we're gonna have to find better ways of promoting ourselves.
Oh yes.
So I mean, fingers crossed. Like, people actually get to the end of this episode. Otherwise, they won't hear this fucking shit.
I know, right? And I have links at the bottom description for Paul's SoundCloud, where he makes wonderful music, and to my Patreon, where I make artwork. The icon for our channel and the one for the book were both drawn by me. So you can find links to our work in the description. And see you next week.